So my involvement has been since Gen AI had launched. I had a student that's pretty into it in the spring, so I got pretty involved with that element, and then had that opportunity to join in with the CTE this summer to kind of dig a little deeper. So I want to share with you some of what I found there. Okay, so I'm going to kind of walk you through the deck here a little bit, just as an intro, to kind of set a ground piece. ChatGPT is really the AI that really kind of took the map for many. Some of this had been existing before, but with their launch at the end of November, a lot of people got involved with that one, and they saw 100 million users after just a couple of days on it. So it had grown to a particular point where many wanted involved with it, right? We started kind of experimenting with what that looked like. They're now on iteration 4. I think that's the paid version now. But they've gone through the previous iterations and seen a couple of talks from Sal Khan from the Khan Academy. He was pretty involved with helping them jump through a particular part of that stage. They had hit one stage that couldn't do what he thought they needed it to. So he gave them that challenge and went back and moved to 3.5 and now into 4, which is something that now Khan Academy is actually listed here. Here's a group of just a few. Now this list is continuing to grow, but these are just a few that are out there already working and people interfacing with them. Again, GPT, largest one that we've really kind of probably seen a lot of press on. Google has their own version going. We have here at A&M, we have some challenges with accessing that one, which I don't see too much playing with that. So just want to kind of give you that list. Again, ever-growing list with that one. And so as we talked with some peers, kind of the best way to look at this, decided to kind of go after a couple of top 10 lists. I've built one for faculty and built one for students, knowing that that's a snapshot for today. Can continue to grow as we go forward, but this is a pretty good 10 to get started with. So I want to just kind of share those with you. First, a list on there is really, if you could think of it as working with critical thinking skills, right? It's an opportunity to give me some data in a form that I'm going to need to evaluate. And then also is a flag. It's really framing your questions effectively is the key power in it. So we talked about, I think, being prompt engineering, or reference that later as being something available, and that's a thing. But it's a key about how you're discussing what you're doing with the tool. For the second one, this is where we found some pretty strong benefit is kind of in that getting started area where maybe I'm not sure of some ideas, or if I want some guidance as to what some ideas might be, I can use this tool to get involved in that view. So for the third, wanted to kind of turn this a bit to think about from the student perspective, really kind of how it's going to benefit them, and know that these are tools that they're going to use and work with. So knowing that that's coming, and it's also something they're going to need for their careers, we're going to look at it from that perspective to try to help them grow into that. So that's what I kind of flag here is as you're working with these, pose them as something for career training, because we have peers in industry right now using them to do different things. I've some students that just went to a career fair we had just about 2 weeks back, had those conversations with recruiters that were here. So important that they know what's happening with those. I do want to encourage you to take some position on your syllabus. Let the students know where you are on it. I've tried to share with them quite a bit this semester when I was doing my entering class that they'll probably see a pretty wide range, right? So completely outlawed in some particular classes, and that's professor decision. And then some others may be in the point of really encouraging the use of it, exploration of it, even maybe sharing in class to kind of how to go through that. And either of those is fine. Just want to make sure it's clearly defined on what's happening on your syllabus. So for number 6, want to kind of turn it back to instructors. Super beneficial for lesson modification, right? If you're presenting some particular way and you're thinking maybe some differentiation applied, you can get ChatGPT to help you with that. So the key is in that prompt asking element, but can help you with those modification elements. If you present something in a particular manner, and you wanted to give you 3 or 4 other ways to present that same topic, that gives you a great start. Again, the first draft element. So you'll just take that and go directly, but it gives you those thoughts, that direction. And then 7 is really kind of chasing those ideas. We'll talk about one application a little bit later here where you can really just kind of have a discussion with it. That's why it's called Chat GPT, because it's really like having that discussion. So we do want to encourage you to look at opportunities to bring that into many of the areas you have listed here, right? You know, from as big as a curriculum element to down to particular questions. I was looking today, usually as I go through my semester, as we do particular lesson, I'll go ahead and build that into the final exam, some similar questions. And rather than construct them from scratch, now I could give GPT a good example of one and ask it to give me 8 very similar to that. So I could take those, make sure they're good, and then load those in. So it's kind of a helpful element from that perspective. I do want to encourage you at some point to consider demonstrating use of this tool, maybe for some element that you're going into. Might be an area you want to look at brainstorm. I've had that come up a couple of times in classroom where I need to brainstorm with the students. And maybe some of the students are really stuck somewhere, so I show them how to use that to try to get some ideas. And then number 9 is really in that differentiation element that I kind of referenced earlier. If you're not sure about some different paths to take, with a good prompt posed to chat, you can usually get some different takes on particular lessons. So maybe help you with some of those scaffolding elements to say, having students are having difficulty with a particular level, what are some tools that I can use to help them learn that level better? So it can bring in some scaffolding elements. And then everything through it, really strongly emphasize this with the students, it is constructing or generating that content. If it can't find something, it's designed to create something that sounds like it's correct. So when you get your output, need to verify that, right? So that's why I say flag trust, but verify. If content's available, it provides it for you. Always need to look at what that output is to make sure it's clear. And that's one of the studies that we do with the students. Right, so I gave you those top 10. I think you've got the link put in there so you can also check out this presentation, look back through those. Just maybe look at a couple of them and see if you want to start playing with that or implementing that, either with your students or with your construction. Right, with those 10, I want to look at some case studies. I was kind of pulling together some things that really looked at trying to work with on this. So the first one I kind of flagged a little bit is really in that brainstorming element. If you have, it helps kind of level a little bit for those students. Some may be really good at pulling up brainstorming ideas. We'll just kind of throw out general ideas that may not be on target with what we're after, but at least getting it on the page so everybody can kind of hear what they're saying. Some don't really like to pursue that much, right? They have real difficulty with that first element. So that's where chat will come into play if you can work with them on building that prompting. And that's where I like having you work with them in class on that to maybe build what a prompt would look like to help them get going on that brainstorming element, right? To get some ideas to mix with their own ideas. Another one that I haven't done this one in class yet, but I have it scheduled for a couple weeks out, is to work with the students to get a particular relevant prompt that's in place to say for the particular topic we're on, build a prompt with your team, then all 3 of you submit and get your output and then take that output and do the comparison. So I've seen many of our peers go through this element of have students use very similar prompts to get output. And then the big analysis for them is to put those together, say what should we keep, what should we not keep, what is good about this, what's not, have them do that compare and contrast going through. And then they build a single document from that. So from the output that they got,
they process through that and identify, so for that particular prompt, this is what we would expect it to see. So they should get three, depending on the prompt, three different or maybe even three very different responses. And the benefit to them is having them go through and synthesize those into a single one. So that's a good team one to work through. Then have several ideas kind of listed here for you. I got a flag if you got some questions you want to work with and you want more like that, maybe for a homework or for your test or for a practice. Pretty helpful for pulling that out. If you're looking for that differentiation we talked about, just work on that prompt you need to get in. And then what I'm really kind of growing into is you're kind of looking for what direction to go, maybe with anywhere from a lesson to a talk to a research paper. Just as you might sit down with a peer to chat, you can have that same kind of conversation with a ChatGPT to get that conversation of, here's what I'm looking at, what kind of information do you have on that? And really interesting on this one, if you sit down with a peer to go through that, so you have that conversation that you normally would maybe over coffee or something, and through that conversation leads you into posing some things in chat, you get some output, and now you have the two minds kind of working through that. So I think some interesting directions will be coming from that one. And then as I've gone through some of the studies, AI is artificial intelligence. Through a lot of the CTE discussions has come a suggestion that for us, it's really like an augmented intelligence. It's another area of here's knowledge there, and it's really augmenting the existing knowledge that we have. And then did want to flag here that prompt engineering is a thing. Had read several articles on that one of those being able to progress well quickly in this environment because they know well how to query the tool. I've seen a couple of articles even on A&M students that their internship almost evolved around using ChatGPT to do some research for some particular areas where they were doing an internship, and being able to do the work of many researchers at that point just through their querying ability. And then last one, I just wanted to flag, because I've had experience in this one just last weekend. We had Aggie's event going on with Sandia National Lab, and their element coming in was to say they want to look at national security and what AI opportunities are there. So it's not necessarily a generative AI, what we're looking at here, but it's actually building the entire tool. So choosing a machine learning method and building the data set that you want that going against, as opposed to what OpenAI may have gone and grabbed for ChatGPT. These are more tailored ones to what they were looking for, right? If it was identifying a particular type of ships or a particular type, I think they were just, a couple of students did some paths down what's going on with airports and how you kind of manage airport security and some opportunities for that. So that was kind of a nice thing to go through and seeing this being applied in a little different light. So it's a couple of closing elements. Wanted to encourage you to kind of monitor the evolution going on. You keep getting told that right now generative AI is the worst that it's going to get, that it continues to learn as it goes forward, and we expand the data sets and do additional cleaning on the data sets. So as that's progressing, I just encourage you to stay connected on that, find a source that you trust, that you're comfortable with the information from, and track those, just kind of see how that's evolving. So we have, as we saw from CTE, if you talk to them about what they've gathered over the summer, just a massive database that just continues to grow almost exponentially as we get additional information in. So you want to find a good channel that you're really comfortable with there. And then want to leave you with, this is part of our lifelong learning modeling that we do. So at some point, want you to feel comfortable about demonstrating this and using it, right? Because we know as we try things, we're going to have some failures go on. We've got to adjust and try those again. So we'll encourage you to kind of get in that loop and look for that opportunity to help our students progress through this, right? This is a pretty powerful tool that has just kind of landed in front of them. And I think they can use our help in guiding them through that. So thank you for your time today. I think I'm good for questions now.